Well, garlic isn't just for vampires. That's right. I just finished the last of my 5 pounds of garlic bulbs that I broke into cloves. I'm going to show you what I did to make huge, delicious garlics. Now, the first thing that I do is I break those bulbs apart, and you can see I have a lot of different kinds of garlic. And I've always grown Russian garlic. You know, the purple, it's called red Russian garlic. But I'm going to try a whole bunch of different kinds this year too. So here are my buckets. And the first bucket I'm going to do with the hydrogen peroxide. The rest of them I'm going to use this fish fertilizer. It's a fish emulsion, 511. And I'm going to do it just as it says on the direction. 2 tablespoons to a gallon of water. And so that will go into every single one of these. So I have 11 different types of garlic. Now here's my hydrogen peroxide. It's just regular hydrogen peroxide, but you disinfect those cloves so that if there's any bacteria, disease, things like that, it can really stop it. So there is all my fertilizer all mixed up, ready for me to start. So we're starting with the Russian red garlic. And this is just such a great producer in Wyoming. And so I'm just going to mix that up, and it's going to stay in there for about 5 minutes. And every so often, I'm just going to stir it up. And because I don't want to use buckets and buckets of hydrogen peroxide, I'm just going to go one at a time and put it into their fertilizer. Now, I'm going to put a piece of tape that says what type of garlic it is. And I also have my index card so that on the back side of that, I can write all the information. The day I planted it, the day it started to sprout in the springtime, things like that. So it's been 5 minutes. We're just going to put that into that first bucket. And it's just a process. Now it takes you a while because I have a whole bunch of different types of garlic. If you only had one type, it wouldn't take you very long at all. Now it can stay in that fertilizer for 24 hours. Though I have heard different producers that have fields of it that say that it stayed in there longer. Now this is the first area that I'm going to plant my garlic, and it is packed with herbs and vegetables, carrots, peppers. The zinnias are in front, but those are in pots. Columbines that come up, wildflowers, squashes. I'm going to rip that all out. Now I was really back and forth because some of them are growing so well. Those peppers are about 3.5 feet tall, and I have picked tons of peppers off of them, but there's still so many young ones in there still. So I really went back and forth if I should just pop them in some pots and let them grow for a little bit longer. Now we're back, and I have all of my buckets done. There's garlic in every single one of them. And it has started to rain. So I am going to cover it with a tarp because I don't want the fertilizer solution getting weakened from the rain. So I'm just going to lay that tarp on there, put some wood on there, and we'll wait for it to stop to rain. Now, it ended up raining off and on for 2 days, but I just left them in there. Now I'm going to put my rows 6 inches apart. Sometimes people do it 4, sometimes people do it 8, but 6 inches seems to work for me, and then I'll plant every 6 inches. And I don't want to stand on the soil, so I'm standing on that skinny board, and this is a board that is 12 inches long, so I've marked it in the middle so that I can lay out exactly where to plant my garlic bulbs. And then I'm going to push that dirt over top of them, and I'm going to pat it down a little bit. And I want about 3 to 4 inches of dirt over top. Then I'm going to add worm castings, and actually I'm going to put that whole entire bag of worm castings in this area. And I am also going to put, after I get all the worm castings on, compost. I'm just using a bag of compost. I never can make enough compost for all my different gardens. And so I'm going to sprinkle that on. That whole bag is actually going to go into that area. So we're adding about almost an inch between the worm castings and the compost. And so that area is done, but I still have a whole nother section of this garden plot that I haven't finished yet. And so, but this part is planted, and I'm going to put straw next. I laid my board back down so that I can walk on it, so I'm not walking on the soil. And I'm going to put 3 to 4 inches of straw on there. It's a great insulator with our cold weather here in Wyoming. And the garlic will work its way up through the straw by springtime. Now, what did I do with all those plants that I pulled out? You can see I left a few flowers back there. But over in this wheelbarrow, I did give some of the plants that are edible to the chickens. But the rest of it, I just got it piled in there. Now, there's a lot of nutrients in plants and in the roots. So I'm going to lay that over top of the straw. It'll do a couple things. It'll biodegrade, and it will also hold the straw down. So there's my whole section. That area is about 8 feet by about 16 feet. And there is a lot of garlic cloves in there. So we're going to go on planting, and I did some harvesting today. Have you planted your garlic yet? If you haven't, even up here in the north, it looks like October should be pretty good. So plant it right away. Get online, source it locally, however you can get it. This whole bed back there that had flowers and vegetables and all kinds of stuff, that's my largest garlic. Then up above on the terrace, more garlic. Then part of 3 different beds up in the main garden, garlic. I'll show you next spring when they start to come up and we get back to Wyoming. See you next time.